delightful Japanese delicacy.
My question is, would you do it again?
I would do it again for the love and the passion of this game and for the love of that feeling that you represent your country and raise your country's flag high around the world, and people get to know get to know Oman and get to know this player and this athlete is from Oman.
Yes.
And winning those tournaments, international tournaments with all those countries and raising your flag high and listening to that national anthem and that success, I would do it not even once. I would do it 100 times if I can.
How was that journey?
See, I started, promised myself as I came out of university that my first job would be working for myself. So I very much identify the work that you guys are doing with your business, and awesome. Congratulations, by the way. Really impressive.
Good morning, everyone. Our chief guest, Her Highness Saida Maya Al Said, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, a hearty welcome to one and all to the first edition of the TAS CEO Conclave, which is a historic moment for us. This coincides with the new momentum that the world has achieved and the vision that Oman has given shape for the future. Today we have with us the top visionaries and business leaders of the country, not just to brainstorm, but also to have a constructive intervention as part of the forward journey focusing on the future of this nation. After passing through a tough time that disrupted all fronts of life due to the pandemic, we as a nation are on the path of recovery, and the need of the hour is to revive the economy and generate more employment opportunities. We strongly feel that the corporate houses and government agencies have a greater role to play here. The TAS CEO Conclave seeks to take it in the right direction. This event is brought to you by Sea Pride LLC, Purushottam Kanji Exchange, Marcus Al Baja, and our venue partner, Hormuz Grand Muscat. Thank you and welcome to this opening session of the Conclave. We sincerely thank Her Highness Saida Maya Al Said, who has been an inspiration to all of us. Thank you, Your Highness, for accepting our invitation to be our chief guest and gracing this occasion. I request Mr. Nishad Padiarat, the CEO of the Arabian Times, to address the audience.
Her Highness Saida Maya Al Said, Honorable Lujina Mohsin Darwish, Dr. Aziz Mohsin Darwish, thank you for coming in for early this morning. For newsrooms, this is an early start. It's great to see you all join us today, and I hope you have a fantastic day. We were asked why we are doing a CEO conclave. I think the opportunities are endless, and I think there is no better time than now for a group of friends to sit together and talk about what the future might bring for Oman. Before we start the conclave, I would like to talk a little about the Arabian stories. Ladies and gentlemen, 2021 has been a year of absolute transformation. We had COVID and innumerable challenges thrown at us. But I don't want to go back to that. I want to look at the future. I want to tell you about what you may not see on the screen here. So allow me to indulge in a bit about the growth of the Arabian stories. Because it was difficult, but we have proven that it is not impossible. Today, I'm proud to say before you that the Arabian Stories is beyond doubt the most sought after media brand in the country. And I would like to tell you about our reach. for which we have worked really, really hard. This brand, which started way back in January 2019, has now have a reach of more than 5.2 million monthly page views. Today, we have constituted the Taz Icon Awards for the 20 most inspiring personalities in Oman. Moving ahead, TAS will be hosting innovative events, including the Oman Women's Summit next year, by her story. The first edition of TAS CEO Conclave will put the spotlight on the economy, the tremendous potential, the journey ahead, the scope, and the way forward for Oman. This conclave will be a one-stop destination dedicated to Oman's growth trajectory, providing Omani citizens and expat community with perspectives and conversations that will draw the way forward. I would like to thank our partners, Sea Pride, Marcus Albaja, Purushottam Kanji, and the wonderful team at Hormuz Grand. Thank you.
We request Her Highness Saida Maya Al Said to officially launch the Taz Icons magazine featuring Oman's 20 most inspiring personalities. I also request Mr. Nishad Padiarat, the CEO of the Arabian Stories, to accompany Her Highness to the stage. Thank you, Your Highness. For the first time, the Arabian Stories will be launching the Taz Icon Award to honor the 20 most inspiring people who are featured in the 2021 Taz Icons magazine. We request Honorable Lujena Mohsen Haider Darwish, the chairperson of MHD ITICS and State Council member, to receive the Taz Icon of the Year Award. We request Arij Mohsen Darwish, the chairperson of MHD Acre, to receive the Taz Icon Award. Rahila Khalid Al-Busaidi, Managing Director of Al Obaidani International LLC. Mohsen Hani Al-Bahrani, CEO of MHD Acre. Syed Khalid Al-Busaidi, Chairman of Sapco Group. Dr. Shamshir Vailil, Chairman and Managing Director of VPS Healthcare. M.A. Yusuf Ali, Chairman and Managing Director of Lulu Group International. Nilesh Khimji, Director, Khimji Ramdas Group. Ali Al-Habsi, former Oman football captain. Ahmed Al-Harthi, Oman racing champion. Amal Al-Raisi, founder and creative director of Amal Al-Raisi. Dr. Shamsa Al-Shebani, Chief Risk Officer and Vice President of Economics at Oman West. Dr. Lamia Al-Hajj, Associate Professor of Sultan Qaboos University. Fahad Al-Ismaili, founder and CEO of Tibian Properties. Captain Ahmed Al-Shiddani, Chief Operating Officer of Salam Air. Sharifa Al-Barami, co-founder and CTO of Markitex. Alia Al-Farsi, founder of Alia Gallery. Fatma Al-Nabhani, national tennis player. Gaurav Anil Nahar, CEO of Akid. Leila Al-Hadrami, Smart Cities Development Manager of National Energy Center. Thank you, Your Highness. We request Her Highness to felicitate the CEOs taking part in the TAS CEO Conclave. Captain Mohammed Ahmed, CEO of Salam Air. Fahad Al-Ismaili, CEO of Tibian Properties. Sharifa Al-Barami, co-founder and CTO of Markitex. Ahmed Al-Barwani, CEO of Mona Noor Manufacturing and Trade PV. PV Valsraj, Managing Director of Al Hind Group of Companies. Amal Al-Raisi, Founder and Creative Director of Amal Al-Raisi. Dr. Sadiq Kodakat, Chairman of Star Care Hospital. Dr. Arjun Subramanian, CEO of Mazoon Dairy. Mohammed Amin, Managing Director of Sea Pride LLC. Harith Al-Makbali, CEO of O Taxi. Leila Al-Hadrami, Smart Cities Development Manager, National Energy Center. We now request Her Highness to award 2 of our team members for their selfless service at the Arabian Stories in the making of the brand to where it is today. I request Kushbu Naresh Toprani, Head of Marketing, to receive the award. I request Gayatri Das, Head of Digital, to receive the award. Thank you, Your Highness. Now the moment you have all been eagerly waiting for is here. The first edition of the TAS CEO Conclave is all set to begin, which is brought to you by Sea Pride LLC, Purushottam Kanji Exchange, Marcus Albaja, and our venue partner, Hormuz Grand Muscat. We request Mr. Nishad Padiarat, the CEO of the Arabian Stories, to take the stage, please. stories to please take the stage.
For us, for us in the airline business, it's not a job. It's not a 9-to-5 job of a daily routine. It's very exciting, very different, and that by itself motivates us all. A lot of people say once you get in aviation, it's very hard to get out of it. The vibe that it brings, the passion that we have for flying. It's been the man's dream to fly and to be able to do that and serve all these numbers. I know we had difficult times, but when somebody comes and says we had a flight which was on time and they are very happy with with the services, with the crew, with the aircraft, that by itself just the biggest motivation that we have.
Captain Mohammed Ahmed was appointed CEO of Oman's first budget airline Salam Air in October 2017. Reputed for delivering operational, commercial and financial results in the aviation industry, Captain Mohammed is responsible for leading Salam Air through its next phase of development by focusing on driving efficiency, performance and customer satisfaction. An industry veteran with over 30 years of experience, he started his flying career at Oxford Air Training Academy in 1987. He then joined Gulf Air, where he flew Boeing B737s and B767s as well as Airbus A340s and A320s. In 2003, he was selected to be a part of the startup of Air Arabia Group, where he was a group director of operations and maintenance, among others. We wholeheartedly welcome Captain Mohammed Ahmed to the stage to be in the first panel. The founder and CEO of Tibian Properties, Fahad Al-Ismaili, has been the leader in Oman's real estate market. Started in 2003, Tibian, which is one among the first Omani local real estate company, has grown by leaps and bounds. Over the years, Tibian Properties has built on a strong foundation of qualities such as integrity, transparency, professionalism, respect and trust. Over the last 18 years, Fahad led Tibian Properties and managed successful real estate services. Fahad is also a member of the Oman Real Estate Association and plays an integral role in creating awareness, supporting knowledge sharing and providing advice on new laws and regulations for the real estate sector. We welcome Fahad Al-Ismaili to the stage. Ahmed Al-Barwani leads Oman's largest and oldest pipe manufacturing company, Munna Noor. Munna Noor was set up 47 years ago as a plastic pipe manufacturer and as one of the first companies in Oman. The Munna Noor brand is synonymous with superior pipe manufacturing, and their products are being installed throughout the Middle East and internationally. Under Ahmed Al-Barwani's leadership, Munna Noor's quality and success has been recognized by financial industry leaders in the region. We welcome Ahmed Al-Barwani to the stage.
And that's the hard way of doing it, because I went through all of the ups and downs. Maybe if I had the fashion background, I could have avoided some mistakes, but then I've learned everything by trial and error.
The face of Oman's fashion industry, Amal Al-Raisi, began her career with the label Dar al-Asil, under which she has designed traditional Omani dresses, abayas and kaftans. From there, she went on to create her eponymous label that honor Arab traditions while maintaining an international appeal. She has since represented Oman across the borders, showcasing her creations in various fashion capitals across the world, including London and Paris. We welcome Amal Al-Raisi to the stage. Headquartered in the capital region of Muscat, Stark-Air, Oman, comprises a network of hospitals, medical centers and pharmacies that are redefining medical care across the Sultanate of Oman. Dr. Sadiq Kodakat, who leads a multicultural workforce, has led Stark-Air Group to a remarkable progress in establishing itself as a benchmark for accreditation quality healthcare in Oman. We welcome Dr. Sadiq Kodakat to the stage. Mohammed Amin is the founder and managing director of the largest private fishing company in Oman, a well-known pioneer in the Oman's fisheries industry with over 30 years of experience in the sector, was recently honored with a 10-year long-term residency by the government of Oman. Amin has introduced international standards and production lines in his factories with the objective of continuing to improve the quality of Sea Pride's products. He also contributes his knowledge and experience to a number of government committees on the development of the fishing industry. We welcome Mohammed Amin to the stage.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming. Like I said, it's a very early start for all of us, but it's an exciting day for us personally for Arabian Stories. It's our first major event, and the whole concept actually came in from the time we were all locked up due to the invisible virus, and we still are. But I think it's time for us to fight back by taking our country forward in terms of the economy, in terms of creating a strategy, roadmap, and things like that. So that's where we felt to host an event like this, having visionaries and people who want to take this country forward. And we identified from each sectors, the CEOs or the founders, based on merit, based on how they took that effort to build their enterprise. So thank you so much for coming. It's a pleasure for having all of you here. There's no formality, I'll kickstart. I'll start with Dr. Sadiq. Dr. Sadiq is the chairman of Stark-Air Hospital. Dr. Sadiq, when we just thought that everything is getting back to normal, there's another news. They just found a new variant, Omicron, and that's been in the news for the last, I think, 1 week. In fact, at the Arabian Stories, we've been actually getting a lot of calls, messages, emails from our subscribers, asking whether will we go back to those dark days. Because we just recently closed 7 countries. So the question is, where are we heading? Like I said in my speech, we are still in the right direction. And that's where conversations like this helps. So my question is, how dangerous is this Omicron virus?
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. And thank you for the invite, first of all. Yes, hot topic. As we all know that there are more unknowns than knowns in this virus story. All we can say is, and I have to say a disclaimer first, I'm not a virus expert. I'm a healthcare entrepreneur, and I'm an anesthesiologist by profession. But let me make my judgment on it. What we know is that Omicron is, first of all, it is COVID. It's only COVID-19. It's just, let's say, a rebranded, repackaged version of the same virus with some 30, 31, or 32 mutations, as we know. Let's say the good things. From what we know so far, as there has not been any deaths reported. The medical profession from South Africa, where it was one of the countries where it was found. Originally, it was found actually the virus looks like is originating from Botswana, not South Africa, but the advanced genomic sequencing tests in the South Africa brought it to light. They believe that the disease itself caused by Omicron is very mild. It's more like a very minor flu, and not even either one of the common problem with the COVID has been, we know that the taste and so some of the systems are not affected, only very mild respiratory symptoms. Having said this, we know that world is panicking, and there are a lot of knee-jerk reactions. So there will be more of political fallout and decision-making rather than the disease itself. That's what I feel. For business leaders, I think realistically, because this is, one of the bad things is that this is spreading fast, but it's a mild version, let's say. It is PCR test is still the standard test. We don't know whether the vaccines are fully effective, but we know for pretty certain that vaccines will be effective, at least to an extent. Whether it will be to the 90-95% within the original versions, we don't know yet. And again, you can see that some vaccine companies are already claiming better success than others, but there is always going to be commercial influences playing its play and political decisions making now happening. But overall, I think we have to be prepared as business leaders. I think better that we are prepared for a short-term bumpy ride later, more of December, probably January, than expecting that everything will go, very easily. This is the best guess I can, and nobody can guess, and guesses have been grossly wrong with the experts as well as lay people. This has been always the case.
Doctor, Oman, as we know, has been emerging in the healthcare sector, and in fact, the COVID has tested our limits. In fact, we have succeeded that. Like we discussed just a few days back, you said no private hospitals in the country at least have COVID patients admitted, which is a good sign. And in fact, the reports that we are hearing from Ministry of Health on a daily basis is, I think, on an average of below 5 or 10 max. Where do you see the future of Oman's healthcare sector, especially the specialty sector? Where do you see that going?
From a COVID perspective, as you know, that this goes into cycles. Europe is now witnessing a fairly large spike of COVID in UK and Germany and all. And many people are now suspecting, is it because the Omicron variant has been there but never been detected? So there is that possibility. I always think that it's never been a straight curve. It's like if you look at a zoomed stock market curve, it's always been like that. So even when it goes up, it's been like that, and when it goes down, it's like that. So you have to expect some spikes in between. But as we all are expecting, COVID is expected to sort of live with us for considerable time in the future, but it'll be part of our ecosystem so that we don't consider it as like any other special disease. And that part will be over a period of time. That period of time, how long is, we don't know. The only equivalent, as we all know, is from Spanish flu in 100 years ago. So it's not easy to anybody to predict. Now, going back to Oman healthcare itself, or specialty of healthcare, As we all know, Oman should be proud that it's got a fantastic primary care health system already. If you look at all the healthcare indices in the, you go on MOH statistics or WHO stats, you will see that we have a very high, we have achieved quite a lot in the primary health system. What probably have not there is a lot of areas to cover, primarily two, I would say. One would be, how do we benchmark ourselves? How do we say that we have a high quality system? You have to benchmark with the other international players, other developing world. The other areas would be that we don't have enough of, we do have some, but we don't have enough of tertiary level healthcare system. Going back to the benchmarking, when we started, when I was looking around for opportunities in healthcare in 2009-10 period for setting up StarCare here in Muscat, there were no internationally accredited hospital in this country, either in the private or in the government side. We then took it as an opportunity, as a commercial opportunity to showcase, as well as a clinical opportunity to increase quality and improve the safety profile of healthcare, which has worked well for StarCare itself. And proud to say that now, after nearly 10 years, there are 7 international accredited hospitals. We started in the international accreditation within the first year of our operations. Now there are 7, and there are several more trying to achieve it. And even that attempt to achieve benchmarking and standard will improve healthcare quality. I think we have come some way, so it's not a major concern anymore. Yes, we still are lacking, for example, Oman is not heavy in, let's say, robotic surgery, organ transplantation, let's say organized stroke treatment, for example. I'm 55 now, and if I have a stroke happening here, in a developed world now that I'm supposed to be in a hospital, you're all supposed to be aware of it. You're supposed to take me and get me a ambulance, supposed to take me an emergency department who will be prepared. They will be taking me to a CT scan room, and they will be taking me to a cath lab, and they will put the wire there and remove the clot from my brain, all within 4 hours, maximum 6 hours. It's just quite a wishful thinking unless it's a very organized, planned healthcare system. It is beginning to happen, but that kind of thing where you need a lot of planning, a lot of will, a lot of planning, a lot of resources, and both private and government sector coming together. There are areas to work on. So let us say there are plenty of things that to achieve. So opportunities, whenever there is a gap in the system, there is always opportunity, as we say, in the private sector.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you. I'll go to Fahad Al-Smaili. Fahad, you've been an inspiration to all of us. Fahad is the founder and CEO of Tibian Properties. They have transformed in big scale over the last many years. Fahad, I know the COVID-19 pandemic has had a huge impact on the real estate sector. I know the recovery is sluggish, but how do you see the future?
Thank you, Nishad, and thank you for inviting me today here to speak about the real estate sector and share my views. Of course, as they always say, believe only 30% of what you hear. So all the introduction you made, I think I deserve only 30% of that. Anyways, it's a pity that we are seeing this new variant coming on board. We were hoping to end the year positively and enter 2022 in a positive way. But alhamdulillah, as was announced last night by the Ministry of Health, that Oman has 0 incidents of this variant. I hope it will stay 0, inshallah, until it ends. With regards to COVID-19 and the impact it had on the real estate sector, the real estate sector is dependent on volume of people or number of people. supply and demand is the major player when it comes to prices, when it comes to occupancy levels, when it comes to healthy collection of rent. The simplest thing in real estate is all dependent on people. One of the major impacts COVID-19 had on the sector is the departure of expats. Of course, if we go into details into whom are those who who left the country, we will see that the majority were blue workers rather than mid to high, but still new mid to high people whom are creating purchasing power could not come into the country for various reasons with regards to COVID situation, of course. Also, the online meetings and all that created a room for people to have those meetings overseas. Therefore, the less number of people, that was the major impact, that was the major factor that created this hiccup in the market. When it comes to landlords, landlords also are asking for their rentals because they are also backed with financial lendings, which they need to serve also with the bank. So it was a little bit complicated. There were some banks which did very good rescheduling of the financial facilities. However, the real estate industry investments it's a big ticket. It's not a small, villa purchase or an apartment purchase. When it comes to real estate investment, it's millions of riyals are being invested. Therefore, even if you reschedule again and again, it will always have a positive hike on the interest rate, and that also do not serve the what do you call this? The yield, the returns on the IRRs. So it was a very challenging, but alhamdulillah, it went through, and I think it was a good exercise that we went through, and now coming with this new variant, we are not in that shock experience as before, so let's look at the bright side a little bit. So the good thing is that we are looking into it, and we know how to deal with it. We know how to walk around it and use some of the techniques and tactical aspects that we used before. We did some measurements, and we took some measures which were wrong because it was a new experience back then, 2 years ago or less. But now I think any decision we take forward will have a good, it all depends, as I said, on people. Alhamdulillah, the airline industry until now did not announce any.
I'll be coming to Captain next.
So please don't stop your flights. We need people into the country. Yeah, that's what I can say.
I'll go to Captain Mohammed. Thank you for coming. If you remember, 2 years back, when we had a similar conversation, you were talking about pilotless flights. Now we are talking about survival of the airline industry. I'm sure the airline industry, the aviation industry was badly hit, worse than the other sectors. A very straight question: is the aviation industry on a path to recovery?
See, to start with, thank you. It's a pleasure for being invited here and being among all these experts that enlightens our knowledge and makes us cruise better for the future. See, the airline industry, a lot of people say it is the worst hit, and for a while during 2020, it seemed like that. But for us, it has been slightly a different experience during 2020. Where we saw we managed to change our business module. The good thing that these were uncharted grounds and nobody had an experience. and every company had to go and be creative in the way they reduce cost and they generate other sources of revenue, and that's what we did. One good thing that we always thought the bigger the better, and during the COVID in the airline business, it proved the smaller the better, because when you have 10 aircrafts sitting on ground, you have to pay rentals for 10 aircraft, but when you have 100 aircraft, you have to pay rentals for 100 aircrafts. So being small, and we were able as well to resize, reduce third of our size. And then we went totally in a different direction. We went and tried to go after the charter market. Those situations created a lot of opportunities. A lot of people were stuck all over the world. And we reached, in 2020, we reached like 85 new airports. We went places that our aircraft should have never gone before from a distance-wise, so west coast of Africa, China, Far East, Malaysia, and all these things. So we did a lot of, used a lot of opportunities to grow. The result has been that for the airline, at least for our airline, and many other low costs that they publicly will announce their result, 2021 is the best year ever. For us, 2 months ago, it was our record revenues, our record profits, like no tomorrow. We can't even believe it the way we see it. And we do understand that this is only temporary because the prices, I'm sure you travel and you know that the prices sometimes are third what it used to be, or 3 times more than what it used to be before. And these are temporary, and when things ease up, they will go back to normal. But for us, we managed to do things that we wished that COVID had came 4 years earlier, would have been in a much better situation. Among them was last year we signed a codeshare with Oman Air, which is extremely good for the country, good for the people, good for both companies. And we've been trying to do that 4 years, and it didn't happen, and finally COVID came and helped us to sign these amazing treatment. Now, what has happened that we are growing again. We received an aircraft 2 months ago. We are receiving another aircraft end of this month. And we have ambitious plan to grow. COVID has opened the eye of a lot of people that we need to diversify, and we need Oman, it has its vision 2040, and we are a main part, and a lot of other sectors will depend as well on us, like what Mr. Ismail said, whether it's a private business, whether it's a government business, and we are willing to be there, helping all these things, and take the opportunity and make a bit of money on the side as well.
That's a success story, Captain. Despite the challenges, when we all thought that the aviation industry is big hit, yours is a success story. Congrats. But the big question, I'm sure people here in the audience might ask, so I'll take that chance. Despite all this, why is that the ticket prices still high, especially to sectors, Indian sectors? I know you've done a couple of good charters to India, but the most of the complaints that we get from people is that the ticket prices are still high, despite opening up the airports. And I know India's airports are still closed, but still, these are the complaints that we receive. So why do you think that the ticket prices are going up? Sure. Is it connected with the skyrocketing fuel prices?
Yeah. See, I guess if Kentucky can tell you the secret of their recipe, I would tell you why those things. It's no secret. Anything, it's like another business. It's supply and demand. And, one secret of this business is that the cost of the ticket has nothing to do with the cost of the route. If it was proportional, you wouldn't see any airline that losing money. You wouldn't have, government wouldn't have pumped millions of dollars every month on their national companies. And the fact is that let me say that the ticket cost on a route, let's say an Indian route, let's say Cochin, let's say for argument's sake, is 100 riyals. That is what is costing me. Today, if I go and sell it for 100 riyal, or I want to make a bit of profit, I say I'll sell it for 105, but everybody else in the market are selling it for 80. Will anybody buy from me? No, and then eventually my losses will become. So even if my cost, it's costing me 100 and the market price is 80, I have to sell at 80. Otherwise, I'll have empty ticket, empty seats, and I'll have aircraft sitting on ground and pilots being paid and staff being paid without being utilized. Similarly, if everybody else is selling at 200, should I say, no, guys, I'm a very honest guy here, it's only costing me 100, I will sell 100 while everybody else sells 200? So no, well, everybody else is sold 100. We as a low cost, and especially Salamair, we've been always competitive in the market. Our prices is always better than anything else that you can find in the market, and we keep that promise and we work on it. We've lost a lot during last year, and since we started, for a fact, we are a startup company, and sometimes there is an opportunity to recover those losses, and we take those opportunities. This is how we manage our revenues, but we are still always extremely competitive, especially for people who know their plans and who book in advance. We give them extremely cheap ticket below our cost. Most of the time, the first ticket, the first 20, 30 seats we sell on aircraft is way below our cost, well below the market. As the date comes up and then you have those late travelers and all these things, since they cannot plan their life, we use them a bit and make a bit of profit from their pockets.
Thank you, Captain. I'll go to Amal. Amal is an inspiration to all of us. In fact, on a lighter note, earlier when I used to even send a text message, she used to respond in probably 5 minutes max. Now it takes her 3 days to respond. So that shows how busy she is, which is good in this time of the COVID pandemic. How was the sector, the fashion industry? I'm sure it was worse hit. The last 2 years especially. How did you cope up?
Thank you for having me, Nishad. The fashion industry has been affected and impacted by the COVID-19 as everybody else. The major impact I think that COVID-19 has had is on people's purchasing behavior. People have become more mindful on how they spend their money and when they spend. I have also seen a great shift to online shopping. Everybody is doing online shopping nowadays. And people tend to prefer home services. This is something that I've seen my own clients adopt. They prefer shopping from the comfort of their home while they are ensuring safety measures. So I think this industry was definitely affected by COVID, and the main thing is on consumer behavior when it comes to shopping.
So how much has your shift happened, like in terms of the online purchases and things like that? Has that changed with your customers also?
Yes, definitely. We went through a lockdown, and the stores were closed for so many weeks, so we had to adopt and try to find ways to reach out to our clients. Well, initially, you know that as a brand, we concentrate on producing evening attires, events, and with COVID, all of this stopped. So we have to rethink our strategies and think of other ways to reach our clients during such times like COVID. There were no events, no weddings, so we didn't want to run out of business. So we started thinking out of the box, pushing the brand into different avenues. So we came up with new lines. Lines that we can use our old stock to come up with. So I started a line called The Resort, where I use dead stock fabric.
Certainly, I think we all share the same concern. We have 34% Omanized workforce right now. There are two things. One obviously is being able to attract whoever is there, and one is about developing those who can be employed. One of the things that we did was we tied up with the Sultan Qaboos University Nursing College to develop nursing teams who are also familiar with the private system. So even though that was going beyond what normally private hospitals do to get into the community nursing, which helped connecting. The other thing is to give them more, empower them, as you know. Because sometimes we see that you recruit Omanis for the sake of the numbers that Labor Department wants to see, rather than using them and guiding them, training them, and giving them, promotion so they feel happier and feel that there is a career path. If we just recruit them just for the sake of, Omanization percentage, then obviously they won't be very motivated. They'll go at the earliest opportunity to the government sector. So I think as a private, we have a lot of active role to play on that one. We are trying, and I'm sure that's what your side is doing too.
Thank you. We'll close the panel. Thank you for coming. Thank you for participating. It's an honor for us to have you all here. We'll take a short break before we come back in 10 minutes with panel 2, where we have an exciting panel from digital to transport to smart cities to food, and to travel and tourism. It's an exciting panel. I'm looking forward. We'll be back in 10 minutes. And there are refreshments outside, so we'll take a short break and come back. Thank you so much.
I request Mr. Nishad Pariarat to please take the stage.
Dr. Arjun Subramanian is a dairy professional with 23 years of experience in project management, execution, and commercial operations of integrated projects throughout the region and beyond. At the helm of Oman's largest integrated dairy company, Mazoon, Dr. Arjun has been instrumental in shaping up Oman self-reliant in its growing dairy requirement, thereby supporting the achievement of the Sultanate's National Food Security Program. We welcome Dr. Arjun Subramanian to the stage. P.B. Valsaraj, the Managing Director of Al Hind Group of Companies, is not just a professional in the travel and tourism industry. He is a visionary with nearly 3 decades of experience and has been one among the co-founder, leading a dynamic team. Today, Al Hind, as a global player, has established a presence in India, GCC, and beyond. We welcome P.B. Valsaraj to the stage. Sharifa Al-Barami is a woman galvanized by passion and desire to preach and promote entrepreneurship. Co-founder and CTO of Marketeeks, she has been a trailblazer, taking on every project and idea that has caught her attention with gusto. This passion saw Sharifa leave a job of 7 years in the medical sector to set up her own business and eventually become an advocate of entrepreneurship. We welcome Sharifa Al-Barami to the panel. Harith Al-Makbali, the founder and CEO of O-Taxi, a local cab service app introduced in Oman to commute within the city, safe, convenient, and affordable. A 100% Omani company run by all Omani staff, O-Taxi has seen a tremendous growth and success in the market, which proved challenging to regional competitors. We welcome Harith Al-Makbali to the stage. Driven, passionate, and perspective, Laila Al-Hadrami is a change maker. The Smart Cities Development Manager at National Energy Center, Laila, has been instrumental in leading national projects in digital transformation and smart cities across Oman and globally. She was also a member of the National Program for Artificial Intelligence and Advanced Technologies, as well as a senior executive digital transformation in the e-transformation team in the Ministry of Transport, Communications and IT. We welcome Laila Al-Hadrami to the panel.
Thank you so much. So let's start panel 2. Firstly, a big thank you to all of you in the panel. It's a privilege to have you. I'm sure you're all busy with your own schedules, and thank you for taking time out of it and coming. Firstly, I would like to say a huge thank you to P.V. Valsraj from Al Hind Group. He actually traveled all the way from India just to take part in this conclave. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I'll start with Dr. Arjun. Mazoon Dairy has grown into the largest integrated dairy project in a very short span of time. I believe it's less than 5 years. Did you anticipate this success in such a short time?
Thank you, Nisha. Thank you all for having me invited here. I'd like to share you the success story. Yes, it has been a success. Since 2019, we launched the operations October, and now we are 2 years in operations. I'm really proud to say that we are a brand of national pride now, and we have also got a market share in the dairy milk sector of 40% and growing. And when I say this, it has come with a background. It's not been easy as well. There will be ups and downs. But however, when you talk about the project phase, that has been well planned and executed. Thanks for a fantastic and dedicated team there. And the project is set up on a 15 square kilometers in Sinaina in Al Buremi Governorate. And I invite you all to come and visit the facility whenever you find the time. It's got a dairy farm integrated with the latest state-of-the-art processing factory. And then we also have the related sales and logistics. Mazoon Dairy has been unique in a sense that we manufacture a wide range of products from chilled, ambient to frozen under one roof, which is unprecedented in the GCC. And the scale and magnitude of the project has also been unprecedented in Oman. So given the background, the project has been well executed. But however, having said that, I would say that Mazoon Dairy has been born during COVID. We started launching our products in October 2019, and we were amazed, and thanks to the population here, the expectations and the demand of a new local product that is bringing in the excitement. However, we plan to stagger the launch or in a phased launch of bringing in the milk products and yogurts and labans and flavored milk in phases, and well planned, but however, the COVID hit us. And that brought us to a stage where we had to further stagger the launch. And you know how the population was reacting then. Where is Mazoon? Where is it Laban? Where is it yogurt? But the inside story is, it's simply because of the situation, where we were not able to launch as planned. But however, here we are, and all this has happened because of a team. You asked for the success story. I would say it is to the team where it's a highly passionate, highly dedicated, and a team with a clear sense of direction. So that has clearly made us very successful, and we have our mission to deliver nutritious products all over Oman and within GCC, and also to have a vision to ensure that we become the market leader both in the juice and dairy markets. Now, just an afterthought is, Mazoon has also been established to cater to the food self-sufficiency of Oman, a part of the dairy self-sufficiency, under the National Self-Sufficiency, Food Self-Sufficiency Initiative. So we are marching well ahead, and Mazoon is meeting the expectations. And hopefully in 5 to 6 years, you'll all be proud that we are not only self-sufficient, but we reverse the process of exporting your products.
Thank you, Doctor. Just another question. How do you stand different from the other competitors? Especially when you have that 40% of market share in just 2 years of time. How different are you compared to the other competitors?
I would say the strength lies where we saw an opportunity with a great demand within the local population for a locally produced product. And there was a huge gap between the local production and the imports. So I think Mazoon was able to tap into that particular strength, establish itself in terms of technology, in terms of quality and scale to meet the expectations. And we were able to move in fast. And given the conditions of our launch during the time and uncertain conditions, there are certain advantages we took over, being very local and being very fresh. So we were able to come closer to the hearts of our consumers, or rather stomach of our consumers. So it is thanks to the local demand and the sheer expectation within the national population, yes.
Thank you, Doctor. I'll come to Sharifa. Last year, especially during the peak of the pandemic, we have seen a dramatic rise in e-commerce business. I have seen the growth of somewhere around 19% last year, which is somewhere around $26.5 trillion globally, which is, I think, 30% of the global GDP. How was the response in Oman when it comes to e-commerce business rise in the last 2 years?
Okay, so first, thank you for inviting me here today, and welcome to everyone who's here. I think, let me just start with telling people a little bit about Marketex, and then I'll go to that specific point. We launched Marketex in 2018, and this is, going into the Omani market with a fully e-commerce play. And I recall in the very beginning, even when we were trying to convince people to give us some funding, the first thing they would say is, nobody's going to buy online in Oman. But still we prevailed. We continued, and COVID was actually a blessing for us, because we, at that time, at that very specific point, we had just closed our first round of investment in early 2020. And so with this new fresh money that we had, we thought we need to go viral. We need to do something that makes us viral. And then, with God's grace, a virus hits. And suddenly e-commerce is really the most needed thing. So when we talk about numbers, for us, the actual growth that we saw in the 2 weeks of the lockdown was 300% in a matter of 2 weeks. And it might sound very good, but trust me, when you're running a company and you suddenly see a spike of 300%, you're just hoping that you don't crash, because your operations are not meant to deal with this kind of volume. You don't have the people. Mazoon cannot deliver the milk on time, and then the customers are complaining. It was quite difficult. But I think, we have prevailed. We continue. We started with just being the idea of Marketex was just your corner store that delivers your goods, groceries, to your doorstep within 30 minutes, anywhere in Muscat. And we own the logistics. And then gradually people started asking for more and more things. And then we thought, you know what? Let's open it up to merchants. So we became a marketplace after becoming a supermarket. And the marketplace now holds more than 350 merchants from Oman and outside of Oman. We have more than 25,000 SKUs. And we're growing at a beautiful rate.
That's a great, yeah.
I hope I answered your question.
Yes. Actually, these two are my favorite people because they come from digital background. So, probably I might ask too many questions, so forgive me for that. I'll come to Harith. Harith is a CEO of O-Taxi. Harith, I'm sure even during the pandemic, you must have seen a rise in people booking taxi services through your app. How different is this online service, taxi service, different from the conventional taxi?
Well, first of all, welcome all. I'm glad to be here. Well, I'm not surprising you, hopefully. I'm the opposite of e-commerce. Our business went down during the lockdowns. Nobody wants to, we are transportation business. So no one would like to go anywhere. Everything is closed. There's rules. Don't move out from this time to this time. So we had been affected a lot by the lockdowns. So our business in 2020, early 20, went down by 90%. Yeah, but it was good, a good test for us to test how resilient we are and how fragile, how we can adapt to these changes. To all these challenges. So the journey through pandemic was really tough. But the good thing is we managed to overcome it, and now we are back into the track.
Thank you, Harith. I'll go to Leila. Leila is the Smart Cities Manager. Thank you for coming for the event. Just to brief about the smart city projects, if you can brief the audience what exactly smart cities is all about, especially when in line with its 2040 vision.
Thanks a lot for asking this important question, because everyone is asking me that.
That's a very true.
What is smart cities? Do we really have smart cities or stupid cities? So sometimes I say it's better to say sustainable cities instead of smart cities, because it teases people when we say smart cities, because they say we cannot see the smart cities. And I always say the smart cities is the cities that we are living on it. It's not a city in another country, or it's a city in Mars and the moon. It is our cities, but and the concept of smart cities, how did it really start and why they call it smart? It started in 1990s. It started mostly in China, Japan, and India, because they have the biggest cities around the world. So imagine a city with more than 100 million population living in that area. You can imagine all the kind of challenges: the traffic, the pollution, people who are homeless, who don't have jobs, and so on. So from there, it came. They said, let us have the concept of smart cities so we can help the mega cities. So it started like that. But nowadays, it's becoming like a must, a mandatory, because all of us, we as citizens, we deserve to have a quality of life. So we are linking now the smart cities with the quality of life. Am I, as a Leila, feeling happy and safe in my area? Because now we link it to the happiness and safety. Does each one of us, does each one here in this room feel safe in their home? Or they are thinking to move from their homes to another area because they say, we are getting tired from the noise, from the traffic, we cannot live peacefully, we cannot sleep calmly, we just hear the noise of the cars and so on. So it's about a matter how we are going to improve the quality of life. If you have, for example, the online services, people not have time to drive, for example. That's why we have now a very creative projects like Sharifa. Now they are going to deliver it to their homes instead of going to the supermarket. So this is how will try to reduce the kind of challenges in our cities.
Thank you, Leila. I'll move to PV Valsraj. He's the managing director of Al Hind Group. They have over 100 branches in India, GCC, and Africa. Valsraj, a curious question. Just as I spoke to Captain Mohammed of Salam Air, the travel industry has been hit big time during the COVID, and just when we kind of trying to revive the industry, we are seeing another variant coming in. Does that, do you see that kind of an impact coming into your sector, the travel and tourism, and do you anticipate, a recovery in 2022 with regards to travel and tourism?
Thank you, my dear friend Nishant, for inviting me. And I came all the way down from India to Muscat just to express my view
it's
here.
an honor.
Thank you so much. It's a wonderful question. Everybody is asking the same question. It is very difficult to predict. But in the initial stage, we expected that this will continue for 6 months. Now we are reaching almost the second year end. We are expecting a recovery. We expected a recovery within 6 months to 1 year time. Again, new variant is coming. Again, the question is there. But now, the fortunate thing is we started living with the virus. That is a plus point. Second point, I want to say that we cannot ignore this situation, or we cannot simply stop our life sitting at home. We have to move ahead. Without traveling, the world will not move. No traveling, no economy. So we have to move ahead. I firmly believe within 6 months to 1 year time, the recovery would be there. But the experts are, of course, predicting that this will continue for another 2 to 3 years. But I don't think so. Traveling is happening, but we started living with that. With more precautions, we are all traveling. So I'm looking ahead very positively, very, very positively. So don't sit at home. Simply move ahead, otherwise we will perish. This is the message I want to convey. That is why I came all the way down from India to show. So I wish all the best to each and everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. Dr. Arjun, I want to talk about the local employment part when it comes to dairy projects such as Mazoon. What's the percentage of Omanization in Mazoon, and what is the potential for Omanis to join projects such as this?
Okay, that's a good question. See, we are proud, I'm proud to say that we have achieved 68% of urbanization across all levels, which we're proud, and we are growing in that. With Mazoon coming in place as a dairy, in the dairy sector, in manufacturing, what it has created is, it has created an ecosystem to further the skills of food manufacturing. We heard the previous panelists talking about manufacturing as well, but however, with the dairy, it is more to do more with quality. It's food. It's more closer to a pharmaceutical product. So in terms of the sensitivities, the high quality standards that maintain, we created an ecosystem where we need to bring in the skills sets, where we train people in laboratory skills, in manufacturing skills. And when it comes to production, we have the engineering skills coming in. When it comes to dairy farming, then that's about animal care and protection. So that's a whole lot of different sphere of skills. So if you look at the spectrum that the dairy sector that Mazoon has brought in is phenomenal. And with 68% urbanization, we have also partnered with Sultan Qaboos University as well, wherein we train all the fresh graduates from the food science coming out. We give them the internship training in a sort of stimulating their interest into getting into either the food manufacturing or be an entrepreneur into manufacturing, getting into ingredients, supply chain, getting into the supply chain as well, doing packaging. We also have on-job training facilities where we bring in the fresh graduates and what we call is for training for employment. So we train them and we absorb them into the employment. And all this has been working very well. Very exciting spheres when it comes to food because everybody wants to be part of getting into the factory setup, wearing white coats and being in a very clean atmosphere. So that's one of the interesting factors. And it is also challenging on the other end, where when we have dairy farming, people working with cows and animals and feeds. So, there is a set of youngsters who have done animal sciences and very much interested where, after doing the graduation, they don't know where they fit in. So now Mazoon comes and offers those platforms. So this has created a fantastic ecosystem, and I believe this will grow further.
Thank you, Doctor. In fact, from panel 1, the key takeaway was about how businesses are adapting to digital, especially in the time of the pandemic, and those are big lessons. Sharifa, my question is, you are a pioneer in setting up an online business. We've seen, and I think we've discussed last time also, that in the last 2 years we have seen more than a dozen of online, portals coming out in the picture. But soon after the lockdown, they were all vanished. Is that because people still love going back to supermarkets physically to purchase? Or is it because these online supermarkets are not consistent, the e-commerce businesses are not consistent in keeping up with the changing trends?
So I think it's a little bit of both. I think for one, any startup or any business model that is only designed to serve a certain need, as soon as that need goes, it will go with it. I think with us in Marketex, what's different is that we didn't come up because of the pandemic. We came up before the pandemic. So we were serving a different need. So in that sense, our targeted segment and our business model and our value proposition is quite different, I think, than the other players that came into the market and went out. I think that's one thing. The other thing is that you will always find this in all markets. Companies that are started organically, specifically meaning from the ground up, they grow as the market grows. Unlike companies that just come into the market, they can just look for opportunities. If it's not there, they're just going to go out. So I think that's another reason that we have been able to stay, whereas others have been, have gone out of the market. I think one thing that I would say Otaxi and Markitex probably have in common is that we are very, very customer-oriented. We are startups, very much tech, but very much customer-centric. And I think especially with online and especially with digital, a lot of founders perhaps think if you have the technology, that's enough. But if you really understand technology, you understand that really it is about the human being. It's not about the technology. So our customer centricity, I think, has been able to keep us through the obstacles and the challenges that we faced and endured in the markets.
Thank you, Sharifa. Harith, one question to you is, what are the challenges that you're facing on a day-to-day affairs? I know you're 3 years down the line, you've battled all the hurdles, and you're still battling more. I know that there are certain regulations in place where, for example, like you can't enter the airports, and I think that's still in place. What are the constraints that you're facing with regards to running an online taxi business?
Okay, this is a very interesting question as well. There is a lot of challenges. Let's start with the technology. Technology is not you build something and you said, no, this is good, and I'll keep it for the next 5 years. Not even 5 years, 1 year. So you need always to update your technology, and as my colleague Sada Sharifa said, we need to keep our focus on the customer and how we bring the customer back to the journey. So technology one hand, and then it comes regulations in other hand. You need to go along with the regulations, you need to satisfy them, and you need to follow the rules, basically they're stating. So if they tell you don't pick up from these locations, then you have to listen to that and stay tuned with them and ask politely how to overcome with that. And the third things would comes to the operations and dealing with the very niche segment, which is the taxi drivers. Typically, these are they comes from one of the segment of the Omani layers, and we need to understand them, understand their needs, and provide them with additional value to their business. And if I come to the cross thing is the marketing, because and marketing is a huge world and it's a big oceans. There is a lot of obstacles as we are growing nations not to use the taxis. Though we did a very good job in transforming a lot of customers to start using the taxis and ride-hailing in general, but still we believe there is a lot of work to be done in this area.
Thank you, Harith. To Leila, how do you look at the future of Oman as a smart nation?
This is, very interesting because, I really wanted to wrap up on what just Harith said and Sharifa. Because if you are going to speak about the smart nation, they mentioned a very important thing, the regulations. It's about the governance. If we are going to have a smart nation, the first thing that we have to work on it is the governance. How we are going, for example, to support, the startups in technology. It's not about the technology, as Sharifa said also. Because when it comes to the technology, we have to do a lot of changes. We have to update first, the regulations, the policies. We might have new law, because sometimes we have laws have not been updated since, centuries. So if we want to be a smart nation, we should have a national policy that, align our efforts with all of the smart technologies. And the technologies are changing day after day. So we need to update everything. And when it comes to the smart nation, it's not just about one organization, because everyone, they are asking who should lead the smart nation or smart cities. It is about all Oman, all the sectors. If you want to succeed, it is the alignment with all the sectors. So we have to collaborate together so we can succeed together, inshallah.
Thank you, Leila. Well, Siraj, Oman is still under an air bubble agreement with India, and Indian airports are still closed. We have not opened yet. We are seeing an increase, just as I asked Captain Mohammed, a rise in ticket prices. People who used to travel on a monthly basis are now traveling like 3 to 4 months in time. So, are you seeing a foreseeable future where we can see both the countries opening up their airspace to make travel more comfortable instead of this? I'm sure with this variant coming in, with the new variant coming in, I'm sure India might extend the air bubble agreement with Oman. But are you seeing any, space where we can actually see both the countries opening up their skies?
If the situation is totally under control, definitely the government will not extend the date. They definitely will operate. The major concern is in the bubble agreement, the fare is shooting up like anything, but it will come down. But we must also understand one more point, as Captain already mentioned here, the airline should survive. At least they must be able to meet the cost, right? So I don't want the fare to come down to that level where the airline is losing out. When the airline is losing out, related to business like travel agency, hotel, everyone will be losing it out. So for the survival, it is highly essential to maintain that particular fare level. I should support for that. At the same time, we should open it up, okay? Then, if you are acting very wisely, the question is also very, very critical. The thing is, see, if you are acting very wisely, you can run the show very well, okay? Traveling is quite essential, quite crucial for any country, okay? Then I want to highlight one more point, since you asked that question. Muscat, Muscat is where it is well positioned geographically, it is in the southeast corner of Arabian Peninsula, right? So it is blessed with the Indian Peninsula, where thick population is there and people can travel, okay? The connectivity can be given to Europe and other destinations. So that market has to be really utilized by this country, Oman, for making use of the travel and to develop the economy. Then we used to say, see, Middle East, generally, it is oil-based economy. There must be a shift. There must be an alternative. Travel, of course, tourism and travel, of course, is a great alternative for that. To make use of the opportunity, we have to think from this angle. Instead of just reducing the fare and to increasing the operation. Operation should go up without reducing the fare. The economy should go up. The country should survive with alternative options. This is what I want to tell you. I think everybody will take it with a very positive note about this. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Arjun, what's your view of the dairy industry being connected with the country's GDP? How much has the dairy industry contributed to Oman's GDP?
Well, on GDP terms, we are still very nascent. We are slightly less than 1%. But looking into the future, the potential is immense in terms of food and manufacturing. With Oman's Sultanate's initiatives in diversification, non-oil economy, the food sector plays a very important role, and within the food sector, dairy sector plays a very, very important role. You can see around GCC, there is going to be a population explosion soon. We are going to see that in the future, in the coming future, and it's all about consumption. And it's all about health, migration towards healthy consumption. And Oman has got this potential where not only where it is marching towards meeting its self-sufficiency, so you will see factories expanding, production increasing, revenues going up. But in doing that, with efficiencies coming in, you also play a very important role in exports. This is also a policy brought in by the current the ministries, where they see where the balance of trade be shifted, especially when it comes to food imports. So you will see a dairy sector playing a very important role in growth.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you. Sharifa, a question to you. We have seen a 40% growth in people using, cards, the bank cards. It's more of a, are we becoming a cashless economy anytime soon? Because if you look at the 2019 figure, it was just 10% or below 10%. 2020, thanks to the lockdown and the other issues, the growth has been significant. It has gone to over 40% of people using contactless payments. Are you seeing us going towards becoming a cashless economy?
I think there is a government directive for that. I think yesterday or the day before, a bill was passed that by the 1st of January 2022, cash is not to be exchanged in retail. I don't think it's possible personally. That's my personal opinion. I don't think a bill like this can be...
Why is that?
People will still use cash. I mean, and you don't talk about the most cosmopolitan city in the world still uses cash. You know, and you're talking a very digitized economy, let alone a place like Oman where in Muscat alone, not everybody is going to be using cards. And then you're talking about a vast retail sector that's outside of Muscat. So that's my personal opinion on. But I can see where the government is going with this. I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to contain the tax, you know, because of the VAT. An easier shortcut is to just have everybody use a card, and then you can manage the how the VAT is being accounted for. With our journey in how people handle or the consumer behavior and how it changed over the last 3 years, when we first started initially, yes, online payment was an issue because the real issue at the core of that is the trust issue. So until the consumer builds that trust with you, they will not be using their card or paying online. So initially, we had to introduce cash upon delivery, which to us was an advantage because a lot of the other players were not doing that because they don't own the logistics, whereas we do. So it's our drivers, it's them bringing the cash in. Eventually, what we saw is that with people building trust with the service that they're being provided, they started requesting not just even card payment, they were happy to pay online over the portal itself, in the app. So now we have all three. And I would say that the majority, the biggest chunk of the payment method that's in Markitex is through card. Another good chunk is online directly. And this is, again, it is all about trust.
Adding on to that, how important is having logistics with regards to running an e-commerce business?
For me, it's like asking, you know, it's like asking the doctor how important is having cows for the dairy industry. Personally, from experience now, I mean, initially my thoughts were different. When looking at different models of online and e-commerce across the world, we didn't think that, you know, it's very essential. Or in fact, some of the mentors who spoke to us said, you know, you don't want to have your own logistics. You're an e-commerce play. Rely and outsource your logistics. But when we launched in 2018, the logistics landscape was extremely nascent. I mean, now in Oman, you have many more options. In 2018, there were no options. You had to have your own logistics if you were going to have an e-commerce play. And we took that decision strategically. We thought, you know what, this is going to be our first mover advantage. Let's just ride the wave, let's build the wave. And so owning your own logistics today, I can see that a lot of the issues and problems that other e-commerce plays face, we don't face them because we own the logistics. Yes, it is more expensive. Yes, it is more costly. But I think that pain is better to have because you learn and fix, whereas you can't fix somebody else's logistics if your business relies on it. Do you know what I mean? So it's a pros and cons.
And that's what I think I think that's what how different market is compared to the other players in the market.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the beautiful thing is that eventually we saw towards the end of 2019 and then 2020, a lot of the bigger companies started looking at actually having their own logistics because they realized that really if you want to own the market, it's the last mile. And really your brand is connected to how that customer is being dealt with. And if that's outsourced, your whole value is outsourced. So yeah, it is essential.
Thank you. Harit, safety and security of the passengers is of prime importance. Do you have a redressal system in place to address these issues? Because we are seeing across other countries where, you know, on a daily basis of concerns on safety and security on passengers. So have you come across any such issues? And do you have a redressal system in place to address this?
Yeah, as we talked earlier, we are customer. We are focused really to add big value to the customers and see what his needs and where is the needs. And one of the needs, big needs for all the customers is safety. They need to feel safe inside the car while tracking the car, and even when they drop off and they forget something at the car, they need a method or a way to ensure that that belongings is getting to them safe. So we are taking this in consideration all the time from day one when we started Otaxi. The first thing, we do a lot of massive filtrations when it comes to the driver selection criteria and everything. We try to headhunt for the best drivers that we have available in the market. And then we look at the whole technology system at the app. Is there any way that the customer can report anything went wrong with the trip? And after that, we have also the call center, what I call it, the email support to respond to any customer complaints or anything. So we are tracking all this one by one, and we have dedicated team tasked with this mission is to get the certification and the safe of our passengers. And even the technology, you can track the drivers, the moment he arrived, the driver, and when how long he waited, and the whole path of the trip. These all contributed to get the customer feel that it's safe and reliable. And above that, we do selective interviews or what we call mystery shopping or the mystery shopping. So we take ourselves and we take these rides and we try to test all this process. Are they in place? Are they followed to that? Literally followed everything. And how's the situation of the car? How's the situation of the trip? So we're taking this seriously, and we have series of measures as explained earlier.
One last question, Harith. I know it was not easy to set up this business. You know, I've heard stories of you, like the struggles before you taking a big. How did you manage to hold on?
Oh, this is $1 million question. You need to be very resilient and overcome every problem in the earth. It has solutions. And instead of focusing into the problem itself, which can drag you in any direction, you need to focus into solution and make your path through that solution. So if there is a little advice, I'll always say it, you need to focus always on solutions and overcome all these problems. Otherwise, that's why maybe other businesses couldn't last. They couldn't, from the first hit, they get slapped or down or they went down really. So here you need to be really resilient, you need to overcome, you need to understand the problem and then work into your solution.
Thank you so much. Leila, from literature to technology to smart cities, that shift, how did that happen?
You know, I always get that question whenever somebody is coming and asks me about something and they say, just one question, what's your background? I say, I graduated with English literature, and they say, what? How comes English literature then you reach to the smart cities and so on? I said, it is the continuous learning. We should always, keep learning. We should never stop from learning. Because, I graduated exactly as English literature student, but then I got my master in online learning. So, and when I got, my master in online learning, that was in 2008. At that time, everyone was, fighting with me. They said, how comes that you are going to study online? There is no value to study online. And because of COVID-19 now, everyone is speaking about online learning and blended learning. Say, okay, now you are speaking about the online learning and so on. So it's a matter how we are going to improve ourselves, our skills, our knowledge, because every time we are getting more matured. And we have more examples. For example, here Sharif and Harith, how they started and where they have reached so far, ending up with their startup. So definitely they have improved a lot their skills. And for example, one of my skills is traveling, and I love traveling so much. And every time I'm trying to improve myself when it comes to travel, I have to know, for example, what are the apps that I can use it to plan my travel? What the apps that I can use it, for example, so I can use it properly as a social media, because also I'm having an Instagram account, and it's the first tourism account in Oman. So I have to make sure that this social media is aligned with the last trends when it comes to the social media. So I have also to get certified and improve my skills when it comes to the social media. All of us, we need to improve our skills and never stay on the same circle, because if we are going to, limit ourselves to the same specialization, believe me, nobody's going to be that life. All of us will get fed up. So we have to be focusing when it comes to our personal life and career life. And every year we have new dreams. As Amal said, if you are going to have new goals, every year it is unique, a theme. You'll say, this year I'm going to target this. And to target, to achieve your dreams, you have to learn. So that is, what I can say. All of us, we should keep learning and never stop.
Thank you, thank you. One last question to Valsraj. Oman remains a hidden gem when it comes to the tourism sector, and the government is doing everything that it can to, promote the country. How do you see it, coming from travel and tourism industry? How do you see the Oman tourism industry growing in the coming years?
As I just mentioned in my first question answer, Oman is well placed, where you have everything geographically well connected, well positioned, and you have nature blessings a lot, pristine beaches, you have flora, fauna. Muscat, when we say about Muscat, we immediately compare with Kerala, because all the greenery of course is in Muscat too. Then why we are not making use of that? It is actually hidden. The geographical position, the flora, fauna, the climate rather, all the things are not properly utilized. But I want to highlight, doctor was telling about the allopathy treatment, and people are coming to India. See, the thing is, people are coming to India for Ayurveda treatment also. A lot many people are coming. The thing is, you, instead of just going there, you try to export those things from there to here. Bring Ayurveda here, bring allopathy here. And you have many things to offer to the whole world. As I told you, India of course will support you. The whole Middle East will support you. You be selective. Select the creamy people. Don't allow any Dick and Harry to come and abuse the entire Oman. Okay. Be selective. Whatever you are having, you offer it. You have fantastic products. You have reserves, right? Turtle reserve you have, right? Island reserve you have. So many things are there. How far you are promoting this? I can see Oman is slowly growing. Even economy is slowly growing. Okay, it is very fine. We are not going for extraordinary exploitation of the nature. Grow slowly, but make use of that wisely. Bring people, utilize it. The opportunities are fantastic. Okay, UAE may be, of course, keeping a very fast pace. You go slow, but you can, of course, Oman can definitely move much higher than any other Middle East countries. I'm very sure, very sure. Make use of that. And now it is moving ahead in a very wise manner, and the initiations are taking place. Don't worry about this corona. Don't worry about all these restrictions now imposed by all the governments. But it will go ahead simply. I'm very sure about it. Make use of that. That's all.
Thank you. One last question to Dr. Arjun before we open the floor for questions. Doctor, you said about the employment training program at Mazoon. What's your advice to a young Omani student who wants to take up the dairy project, to work in a dairy industry?
Well, my advice to the young nationals and individuals are, it's not only taking a job and upskilling yourself into food manufacturing, but also to take into entrepreneurship. What we require now is an ecosystem where there is a supply chain developed, where everything is sourced locally. That is something which the dairy industry is looking for. There's tremendous opportunities to set up local enterprises which can deal with manufacturing, packaging materials, processing ingredients. There is a huge spectrum of items and services that can be offered to the dairy, which is non-existent here. And this is a huge revenue potential for all the the youngsters who can come out of their colleges and set up these businesses. Of course, those who are looking for employment, This is a fantastic opportunity where I see the universities are all very geared up with Sultan Qaboos universities and various other universities where they have the food science courses, animal science courses, the engineering courses, where it's all coming into process technologies, people getting into automation. The need of the hour for such a food industry is into automation where there's a huge gap. So I would rather advise you to look into and interest yourself into robotics and automation, which is a very upcoming skills and highly sought after skills. And also, more important thing is the quality. We need to make Oman as a hub of quality, a reference lab soon to be established. As manufacturing comes up and more food is locally produced, you also want to ensure that there is a back office support or a background support in terms of quality testing. So you need to have these food testing laboratories and skilling yourself into the laboratory science as well. So there's immense amount of opportunities, and Mazoon has created this platform. Mazoon is also partnered with Riyadh and given them a list of and supporting all the SMEs with the not only just coming in into a platform and telling this is available, there is an opportunity, but also providing you the feasibility and guiding you where the investments are coming from and looking into buyback arrangements. So we have packaged the whole thing within our system. So you're all most welcome, and we are, it will be my pride to encourage you all to get into this food business.
Thank you, Dr. Arjun. The reason why I asked Dr. Arjun this question was he was instrumental in setting up Mazoon Dairy, leading a team from the scratch to what it is today, to one of the largest largest dairy project that we can all be proud of. So thank you, Doctor. One last question to Sharifa before we end. Doctor was talking about the SMEs. What's your advice to the SMEs and those budding entrepreneurs who want to get into the online business?
Resilience. I think the most important thing is to be very resilient. Not everything that glitters is gold. Don't think that any idea would sell online. Understand your market. What sells in Dubai or in Saudi or in India might not sell here. There is a very specific segment and niche. There are some beautiful niche markets that have not been tapped into. And then they have to realize that in online, you are not protected. It's not the same. You can't go into online with the same mindset and mentality of expecting the government to protect your business, because you really should be competing on the same level and the same par as the whole international market. Your real competitors is the likes of Amazon, AliExpress, and the others. So that's the kind of level. So once you decide to go online, you have to start thinking global rather than local.
Thank you so much. So let's open the floor for questions, if anyone wants to ask.
Assalamu alaikum. First of all, I'd like to thank you for having us here, students from Muscat College. My name is Isra, and my question is for Layla Al-Hadrami. I'd like to ask you about your advice for us female business students for establishing our career and reaching success. Thank you.
I hope that I will be the right person to say it, because we have here Amal and Sharifa. But let me say, since you are now students, you should write your goals from now. Don't stop. Every year you have your own goals. And you have to write it. Say, even if it's a crazy goal, say how I'm going to achieve this goal. And for every year. And you have to also balance between your, for example, education, your career, your passion, and your hobby even. Because sometimes you say, I need, for example, to be, for example, a diver. It's not impossible. And because if you write that goal, you'll say, one day I'm going to do it. So write all your goals. Because when I was a student, like all of you, I remember I said, I want to be a writer and I want to be a global speaker. And I worked in both of these goals. And today, I'm speaking everywhere around the world. So each one of you, you can do it. Dream about it.
I think, Sharifa, I think you can add if you want to.
So you're pushing the question on me now. I couldn't say anything more to what Leila said. I would just also urge you that with so many problems around, always consider the problem as an opportunity. Because whenever you see a problem, that means that there has to be a solution. If you can think of a solution, then you've got the right ground for the business idea. So anytime people sit and talk about problems, just don't engage. Just listen very carefully to what they're talking about and see if you can solve it. And then sell it, of course.
Thank you. Amal.
This question is for Sharifa. With COVID hitting, we've learned to stop and reflect, trying to make some sort of work and life balance. Because before COVID, we were running. We don't have time for ourselves. We've been doing everything, and we always say that we don't have time for things. When COVID hit, we kind of reflected and tried to slow down. But I think, like I personally, am going back to how it used to be. So what's your advice on taking care of ourselves, not getting drowned in our day-to-day activities?
It's a wonderful question, Amal, and absolutely. I think with COVID, again, I always think about the blessings. One of the blessings is that we got to be introduced to the people we live with. we didn't know them before, really, like we knew them through COVID. My advice, I think one of the things that I started doing, which I never would have done before COVID, was I've taken up so many other hobbies that I didn't have time, I thought I didn't have time for. And I think COVID made us realize that we do have time. It's about how you allocate your time. So I would say meditate, take time away, take a break. It's okay to not be busy. I think we used to always think that if you're successful, you have to be busy. And on the contrary, if you're really successful, you're peaceful. So, I mean, what else do you need that money for? Because you want to be able to travel and just relax and rest and buy nice things, but then just to relax. So I would say, always just try and go back to the little things that you started doing during COVID, like, praying, meditating, the good habits, exercising at home. You don't have to have a gym membership. You can do it at home when we're forced to. So I think these are the little things that might help.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amal. Anyone else? Yeah.
Very good afternoon to all of you. My name is Swapnil. I am from Oman Solar Systems Company. I got two questions, one on my personal front and one, of course, related to my company activities. My question to Ms. Laila about solar, as we all can see, it's now picking up in Oman. Any plans looking at your smart city project? And my second question to Mr. Arjun, dairy product, what we do normally once date or it's get expired, especially milk and all, we normally boil and we can reuse, but in your case, how you normally treat, or you take the complete lot from the shopping mall, what we can do? Thank you.
Thank you for asking this question. And as I said, we have to update ourselves every day with what's really happening around us and around the world. And when it comes to the solar, it's now the trending. Everyone is now speaking about the smart energy, how we can use the solar so we can, reduce the energy. And it is not just, in smart city projects. Now, everyone are speaking that language. For example, now, even at a government level, now they are thinking, how can we use the solar energy so we can reduce the efficiency, of energy inside our buildings, the government buildings, because, the electricity and the energy in general, it costs a lot of money. So this is like, you know, a global trending. It's everywhere. So when it comes to the business, yes, there's definitely a business when it comes to the government buildings, organization buildings, even, you know, on the streets, you know, the lightings. Now they don't say just, you know, we need to have lighting pole in our streets. They say we need solar lightings. So the business of solar energy is, you know, has a huge demand, and it is everywhere. So yes, there is a future on it.
Okay, from a smart city to a smart question. Looks like you observed the dairy industry very well. I'd like to answer this question in a broader, comprehensive way. In the dairy business, we have what is called the fresh products. We have the long life products. Long life products is anything above 6 months. You'll find them all in those paper carton packaging. They remain in the shelf, and they remain in the ambient temperature, that is a room temperature. When it comes to the fresh product, what we call as fresh processed product, they have a very short shelf life, and they are maintained in a chilled temperature. That's a refrigeration temperature of 8 degrees Celsius. The shelf life of those fresh products, what you see in the supermarkets, are around 5 days. Now the question is, why 5 days, and what happens after that? It is just a regulation in the Middle East with all the food standards. Because of the environment, the mean environment temperature is very high, and such products can be manhandled or abused in terms of the temperature chain. What we need to maintain is a cold chain right from the cow to your table. You got to keep it at a cold chain of around 4 to 8 degrees Celsius. Now, this can be abused. So that's the reason why there are standards which limits the shelf life of such products, and the fresh milk here is around 5 days in the Middle East. In Europe and several other countries, because of the mean ambient temperature is slightly lower, they have different shelf life. Now, if a product is not sold, unfortunately, within that 5 days, and nobody empties it, what happens? Normally, in the Middle East, it is taken away, it is put into a dump and goes to a landfill. But however, what Mazoon Dairy does is, this is where we have a circular economy in place, which is very sustainable. We have a small percentage which we have within our standard. 2% of our fresh products come out as an expiry. Within that, the products that are not sold beyond that date. So what we do is, we take out, we maintain the cold chain, we bring it back to our farms, we check for the quality, and then we reuse it in the farms. In the farms, we grow young calves, the young animals, which are fed with milk. So we refeed them with this milk, which comes in. And what do we do with the bottles and plastic? We recycle. We take it to a recycling area where we have it. We compress the plastic, we wash the plastic, and then it is recycled. When we say recycled, anything that plastic that is used as a bottle in the dairy industry doesn't come back into the dairy industry. It doesn't come back into the food chain. It goes into other products. For example, a pallet or a crate, it goes into other product. It doesn't come directly into the food. So that's how the whole process is handled.
It's easy to drink the milk, but this is way too complicated.
It is a complicated industry. I don't want to, and that's why we take pride in putting all the systems in place, and Oman should be proud in such a platform being maintained. So when you start an enterprise or when you start an industry as a dairy manufacturing, this is the ecosystem you need to develop around you in terms of recycle, waste management, because what we do say is recycle, reduce, and reuse. So we are trying forward as much as possible to get into the zero emission. That's our motto too, and Mazoon Dairy is well mapped in all its actions and investments in progressing towards that.
Thank you, Doctor. Anyone else?
Thank you for having me. Just I have a small question for Mr. Harith Al-Maqbali. What is the future of online taxi service, and which are the main areas that young female entrepreneurs could focus in this segment?
Interesting question.
Thank you for the question. It's a very interesting question. Actually, this market is still at the beginning, and there is a lot of things to be done in this area. There is huge, unlimited things. As Stada Sharifa just told me, we got the license to operate a female driver taxi for the first time in Oman. And this is just the start. We realize there is a lot of potential services, not only the taxi, because as a taxi, it's one-time service. You come at the doorsteps and you take the taxi to your destination. However, there is transportation for ladies comes to the school or to the colleges or to move around or to go in groups. So there is a huge way and there is huge potential in this area. And to grow. And you've asked me in terms of future. I think the future also bright. There is a lot of innovative ideas happens across the globe. There is driveless or driving without a driver with the smart cities, automation or automated driving. There is an idea, and just I read an article last week that Abu Dhabi started a taxi service of fully automated process. This is when it comes to automation. Also in terms of technology and advance of the technology, there is a lot of room here. People are talking about helicopters, yachts. There is huge world here to talk about it. And if you have time after the conference, we can chat about it. And you are more than welcome, you and all the students, to come to the O-Taxi office and visit the team and knows about your futures, because these are ideas. They need young guys like you to take up and execute them. Thank you.
Thank you, Harith. Is that all? One more? Okay.
Zainab Al-Hadrami from Muscat College, Manager Director for Indian Travel. How does you see the travel industry as one area of entrepreneurship?
Think to Valsraj.
This is an arena of myriads of opportunities. See, you can see, travel industry means it is related to air, land, and sea travel. You can have opportunities there, of course, in the airline. You can have opportunities, of course, in the road transportation. You can have opportunities, of course, in the sea transportation. There is no limit for that. Apart from that, it is all related to many other allied business, many other related business like hotels, like GSAs of the airlines, like cargo, like jobs in the government department, tourism departments, then immigration, security aspects, everywhere, myriads of opportunities are there. And second aspect, you can be an entrepreneur with money and without money. If you have money, you can start it in a big way. You can develop a destination. You can start an airline. You can start a big hotel. If you are not, you can start with a travel agency. You can start with a small hotel. You can do many things with that. You can support the economy of the nation. Travel industry, you should understand one point, dear, that this is one of the 5 fast growing industries in the world. COVID, of course, had a hit, but it will boom. It will come back in a very big way, very big way. People, of course, want to travel. From time immemorial, you should understand that traveling is there. Without traveling, economy will not move. So if that is a sort of permanent business. Along with these things, one more thing is there, which I want to very much highlight, IT. What we have done during pandemic, you know, instead of just giving service directly, we have opted the IT. We have introduced our technology. And we have coined a slogan, e-service with the human face. That means electronic service we will be rendering, but you will be getting the human face wherever you go. During pandemic, of course, they want the human face. And we, of course, rendered human service globally. Wherever they want, our human face would be there. And e-service, centralized e-service will be, centralized e-service, of course, we rendered. Clubbing together, we did wonders. During pandemic, everybody was telling nothing is moving out.
As Captain just mentioned, he operated more than 80 new destinations. We chartered more than 400 flights to India only from UAE. Can you believe it? That is opportunity. Simply, saying in the name of pandemic, don't sit at home. Opportunities are there. Open the door, understand things very wisely, and act brilliantly. Myriads of opportunities are there. Don't worry about that. So if you want to pursue travel industry, transportation, sky is the limit. But when doctor says lot of restrictions, a lot of things would be there, technologically, right? And knowledge seeking. Here, with a limited knowledge, with a limited money, of course you can conquer the world. Support the economy of your country. What else do you want? All the best.
Thank you, thank you.
Good afternoon to all. My name is Robin. My question is to Ms. Sharifa. After 2019, we have seen a lot of online platforms emerging in Oman, and a lot of them starting and a lot of them also disappearing after some time. With your experience, can you please throw some light on what is the overall market condition in terms of the market share? Like which platforms are kind of leading the market, and what is the kind of overall competition scenario? And the second thing, out of the total spend, what do you think is the percentage of spend through online in Oman? Can you throw some light on these two areas since you are from the industry?
Sure, I can throw some numbers, but I'm not sure they're going to be accurate because I don't think we have enough data and statistics on that. But from my experience and what we've seen, of course, there are quite a few platforms coming in and out. I mean, we've seen, can I mention names?
Please.
Yeah? So we've seen like, Talabat, maybe Akid, different Timdan. These are usually connector models that take from restaurants to the consumer. But because e-commerce, especially groceries, when we talk about e-commerce, specifically grocery online services were what spiked 300% across the world, and we also saw it here in Oman for groceries. So they immediately thought, okay, there's a great opportunity, let's get into delivering groceries. And I'm glad they got their fingers burnt, I heard, because it's not the same. With groceries, it is not the same. One customer wants a ripe banana, the other one wants a raw banana. You send milk that's, yesterday's production, they say, no, I want today's production. And this is all back and forth logistics. And this is the grocery online business, delivery business, is completely different than food delivery. So I think that's one of the reasons why they've kind of moved away from groceries. Some of them, I give them, hats off to them, they're still trying. But so, we have to separate between online e-commerce and grocery because they are two different animals. When we talk about market share, I still think, there are customers, our customers, who will, once a month, they will do grocery shopping, and then the next month they're not going to come back because they want to go to the shop. And we respect that. We're not trying to convert all customers and consumers to come and buy groceries online. We are selling convenience. But also, we are shifting our model to become more of a one-stop shop for everything online. So, if you go, I myself, yesterday, I went into the app. One of my cousins was telling me she bought a product, and I'm like, oh, wow, where did you get this from? We don't usually get it in Oman. She said, Markitex. And I thought, I didn't know, because so many merchants bring unique products from outside of Oman, and they just put them on the platform, and we can't even catch up. And I think that's where the shift is going, and we're heading towards that. The more unique products, unique things that usually will cost the customer a lot of money if they are to ship it from the original country. But for the merchant who's in Oman, he will get it in wholesale price, and then it will be delivered through Markitex.
Thank you, Sharifa.
Hello, my name is Drishti Jasrani, and I'm from Muscat College. My question is directed to Mr. Nishad. What challenges did you face to build a brand like Arabian Stories? And what opportunities do you see in e-newspaper in the Oman's market?
The buck stops here. I think it's passion. It's passion that is holding us in this market. Frankly, I quit my job to start what I love. 3 months down the line when I started, this is way back in 2019. And I regretted in starting because at that point of time, the challenge was to gain the trust of the audience, and that's still a challenge. Right now, like I said in my speech, we stand at somewhere around 5.2 million monthly page views from somewhere around 5,000 monthly when we started off. The challenge, as you know, our USP is breaking news, and that's a challenge because we have to be consistent and correct. So over a period of time, for the last 3 years, we've been doing that, and thankfully, our subscriber base is growing. And in all that hurdles that I faced, and I can actually relate to what Sharifa and Harith has gone through because it's all digital. Holding on to it is more important. And the amazing team that we have at the Arabian Stories, because events like this, we've not done that before. This is new thing for us, and I hope you all loved it. So this is how we learn as we go. That is one. Regarding your question with e-newspaper, there is a huge potential. The reason why we started Arabian Stories is because at that point of time, I saw a huge space for a third English medium. And we succeeded in it. And how we are different from the others is we have our own innovative, talk shows, videos that you must have seen, like Her Story, which is our premium talk show, which has won 2 awards last year, hosted by Her Highness Sayyida Maya Al Said. And a couple of other shows like Auto Show and things like that. We've taken the whole content into digital, giving people what they want. And like they do, we also customize content based on what the subscriber needs. And we've been quite successful in that. There's still long road to travel. We're having some amazing content coming up next year. We have the Oman Women's Summit coming in October, the Youth Summit that's coming in 2023. So shows like that. So it's more of passion, and do what you love to do. There are no regrets now. So because, like I said, it's holding on. We have our own challenges that we face daily, but we have to fight that battle. Thank you. It's all done? Okay.
Thank you so much for the great organization of this event. My name is Dr. Arabi. I am the head of Business and Accounting Department, Muscat College. Thank you also for inviting our students and ourselves to be there. So I find actually it's a golden opportunity for me to be between these unique business people who need to take their advice. Actually, what concerns us as professors always is how to get high employability for our graduates. Alhamdulillah, Muscat College, we have entrepreneurship club, we have training, we try to train them. I myself have many articles published about the skill gap between the industry, what employers need and what we produce. But I believe that now it's time to get your inputs, what you need from us, what you advise us to do. Now we are doing our best to go for having our students have more capability to make decisions, because in our papers we found that they have a gap in decision making. But still, I need your inputs, please. And that's why this question is not directed to one. It's, if you permit me, Mr. Nishad, it's directed to all. I need the input from all. What you need from us what you advise us as educators who are keen to have high employability for our students, and we are doing more and more, but we need definitely this event. I cannot pass without taking your input there. Thank you.
I think everything will start from that end. Walsraj, from probably.
First of all, I would like to suggest that we must be able to give the practical exposures to our students, which is mainly not happening because academically we are just asking them to learn things by heart. We have to give the exposure, whether it is in the industry, whether it is in the factory, whether it is in the airport, or wherever it is. That opportunity must be there. That should be done. We are asking them to mugging up things. We are not asking them to do the practicality. There is a big gap. When people are coming, for example, when after the studies, when they are coming to us, what's happening, they know everything, but they do not know how to execute things. They do not know how to bring the result. So there is a big gap. I used to tell our people, I used to tell our academy also how to train our people. So you have to take the initiation for that. The colleges should take the initiation to give practical training to those who are really interested to come to the private sector. That is a very important thing. That is what I personally feel. We used to do that, and it is very, very, very successful also. We are giving exposure at the time of learning. We will be asking them to do the practical things, going to the industry, going to the companies, or going to the private firms or enterprises, wherever it is. So that is very successful. That is the most important thing I want to tell. And the second aspect, the curriculum also should be designed in such a way that the core essence thing of, if it is business, the business has to be given, must be given to them. Otherwise, it is not going to be a grand success. People are learning, they are wasting their time, they are wasting their energy. Instead, they should focus just on the subject, what they are going to take up in the future. This is what I want to advise. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I will be quite specific, and I think Harith, if I missed something out, just let me know. I would advise them for what we really need as tech companies right now. We need full stack developers, we need programmers, we need designers, we need stock photos of Omani origin, we need animations and graphics that are very local. If they have the time, all of this can be learned online. I mean, we probably taught ourselves quite a few things about tech and development and programming online. It's all on YouTube, on Google, on, learn how to do APIs. Bring us those kinds of solutions. I think that's where the supply chain that Dr. Rajan was talking about, that's what's needed. Because right now, even for us to scale, a lot of times we don't find the talent locally, and we're having to outsource it. And even when it's outsourced, it's not specifically to the local market. So that's what we need, graphic designs that are local, animations that are local, APIs that are local, full stack development, programming, and all of these can be learned online.
Thank you, Sharifa. Doctor?
Let us know when it's ready.
I think it's a very challenging question, and there's not going to be a perfect answer for that. I can relate to certain examples within our work environments as well. You have people with a lot of experience and adults coming into a work environment and suddenly finding themselves saying that maybe they want to change. They are not the best fit for logistics. Maybe they want to get into production. Maybe they are not fit into production. Maybe they want to get into something else. So this question keeps on coming through, and I've seen this re-engagement going on in an organization. When we drill down deep, when it comes to youngsters coming out of college, what I see is probably the college gives them all the tools, but the most important thing is all about application. And everybody wants quick answers and quick successes, right? And everything has to be today and now. And the youngsters want to go out with a pocket full of money. But probably what more is needed is an environment no, is an environment within a college environment, which stimulates and exposes these youngsters to varying, to question themselves where they would be the perfect fit, where their natural aptitude is. Creating that kind of an environment, maybe by, Dr. Balsraj also mentioned, like tying up with industries, developing internships. So probably they might go and see, they have the chance to go and see different spheres and work environments, and they have a natural aptitude, develop a natural aptitude, or go and align themselves with startups, do an internships and sitting with the startups and see how their aptitude is. So it all drills down, you not only providing the tools, but how they apply the tools and what aptitude, they develop. This is what I would, I know it's a very comprehensive, there's not a straightforward answer, but it all starts with the university, giving the right environment for the students.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you. Leila?
Okay, I have like two advices. One for faculty. As a faculty, today's generations are different than our generations. We used just to listen to the teacher and that's all. But today's generation, they are different than us. They are more innovative and they want to try different things. So we have also, as a faculty members, we have to be innovative. We have, for example, to have a blended ecosystem between the physical and online and virtual. Now, everyone is going for the virtual, for example. So, and we have to treat them as leaders. We have to give them that trust because tomorrow they are going to lead. And when I say lead, we don't want them just to come to say what we are going to do. We want them to be the leaders so they can lead, these projects that, Sharifa and Harith are talking about it, because we have a lot of innovative ideas and a lot of, huge and remarkable projects. So we need, the students to be graduated as leaders. And for the students, my advice, don't wait to take the knowledge from the others. Invest in yourself. And as Sharifa said, you can learn anytime, anywhere. It is you who can invest in yourself. Don't wait others. And you don't have any excuse today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You want to say add-on?
I
Yes,
will add,
please.
because this is something that we are facing in our industry. I'm looking for team members that can help me growing the company. And the sky is the limit. And typically, in addition to all what we have been said, I would love the educators to focus also in the leadership skills, problem solving, teamwork, communications, all these things has to be resilient, how to be resilient, emotional intelligence, how to counter for all these things. It's very useful later on for the industry to immerse these skills into the students, and when they are graduating, really ready for this. I don't expect a student very graduated with high GPA, very nice and well educated, and then at the first hit, he will stop and give up. So all these skills has to be developed during their studies and during their, let's call them university degrees.
Thank you, Harith. Thank you so much to the panel. Thanks for having you. So let's come back next year with the second edition. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you everyone for attending the first edition of TAS CEO Conclave. We wholeheartedly thank you for being here today. We hope you've all enjoyed the session from the CEOs who attended the panel today. We would like to once again thank Sea Pride LLC, Purushottam Kanji Exchange, and Marcus Albaja. We would also like to thank Hormuz Grand for giving us such a lovely venue to host the TAS CEO Conclave. We will be back again next year for the second edition. Thank you and have a good day.